the bass keeps running, running, and running, running, and running, running, and running.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me? There we go. I couldn't hear you before.
Oh, oh, I sure hope that they could hear me. If they couldn't hear me, I am going to be upset. Oh, all of
Yeah,
that for, oh my goodness, all of that for nothing. Um, but I did have some great information that I was sharing. So I might need to do a replay at the end. So with that being said, welcome and thank you so much for being here.
thank you so much for
Um,
having me.
Yes. So please introduce yourself to the audience. I know I've shared your bio, but please introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, my name is Tasha, and I'm the owner of the Mix Education and Fitness. I guess I would classify myself as like a life transformation coach. My clients always say like I'm their health coach, nutritionist, personal trainer, therapist, like mentor, sage, and all of these other things. So I wear multiple hats just in a way to, I like to say, help people get healthier, happier, and hotter without giving
Ooh,
up their favorite foods.
ooh,
So
I like that.
that is, yes, I am a very proud yet very sad Florida Gator alumni.
Oh, I know, I
Yes. So
know.
I'm all about the SEC. I love college football. And yeah, I just love showing people how, they can change their lives in a way that's not so hard and in a sustainable way.
That
Yeah.
is awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome. I knew that I had to have you on because this is the beginning of the year. As we know, most people make changes, lifestyle changes, and I made one back in September. And I wanted to help others know that people are out there like yourself to help them transition, transform,
Transform.
change, all
Yes,
of those things if that's what they desire. And so
absolutely.
I wanted to share what you do with my circle. So thank you
Thank
again
you.
for
Thank
being
you.
here. And so with that being said, let's break a little ice.
Okay.
Um, Tell us, where did you grow up?
Interestingly enough, I am an Atlanta native. Most people do not believe me when I say that because they're like, "You don't sound like you're from Atlanta. You pronounce the T."
Right, right,
but,
right.
but yes, I was born and partially raised in Atlanta, and
Okay.
then I lived in Florida a good period of my life too.
What part of Florida? Because I'm a Florida native.
I grew up mainly in Gainesville, Florida, and
Yeah,
I lived in Orlando for a little bit too.
yeah. I have family
Yeah.
in Gainesville.
Oh
Yeah,
wow! Look at
lots of
that
family
small
in
world.
Gainesville. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll have to
Yes,
share with us. Yes,
definitely.
yes. So Pensacola, Florida is my hometown.
Okay, I have not
Yeah.
been there yet.
Oh,
Okay.
you gotta go check out the beach. If nothing else, you
Yes,
oh
I love beaches, so yes,
yes,
I definitely need
yes,
to.
yes, yes. So okay, so Florida
hmm
representing. Do you have any
Yes.
pets?
Oh, I used to have a senior doggy that I rescued named Smiles, and unfortunately, he passed away 2 years ago on the 10th. Yeah, yeah.
Oh
So
wow.
I was
Sorry.
a senior pet mom. I had him for about 4 years. He was the best. That was my first senior
Mm,
adoption. I adopted him at I think he was like 9 or 10,
mm,
and he was amazing. He was absolutely amazing. So I love the fact that I could be the second part of his life. He taught
mhm.
me a lot. Yeah.
Wow.
So I haven't. I've been traveling a lot because he had some health issues in the end, and it took up a lot of time and bandwidth emotionally. So I'm
Mhm.
not ready to get another doggy just yet, but
Yeah.
I definitely will soon.
Yeah. It's definitely like caring for a child. So you
Yes.
have to be willing to, yeah, have
Yes.
all that energy and time
All of
and
that.
yeah. So what's your favorite book? Do you have one?
I actually do. It's not a very well-known book. It's
Mhm,
by Napoleon Hill, and it's called
mhm.
Outwitting the Devil.
Ooh.
It is a very serious book, and it will shake up some of your beliefs, and just it's all about just really understanding how certain things kind of take over our lives and we don't even know it, and how to break free of that. And if you can get the audiobook, it's even more powerful because they have the voice of the devil where he's having a whole conversation trying to understand how the devil like manipulates us and how we can break free.
Oh,
It's a
wow.
really powerful book. Yes.
I think I've heard of that, but I've never read it. That's
Yeah.
one to put on the list. Thank you for
Yes.
that.
You're welcome.
What's the first thing you do after work each day? Is there something that this is just how I flow?
It is a long exhale. It's whew.
A woosah moment, right?
Yes. And then I actually do say thank you. And then most of the time I'm going to cook, like I'm making dinner.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your, I'm not going to say dream job because I know you're moving in that purpose right now.
I really am. Yeah,
So tell us a
definitely.
little bit about that dream job.
Oh my goodness. I love what I do. This is not the path that I ever saw myself on. So yeah, it was a very unconventional way of me getting here, but I honestly wouldn't change it. I was originally going down the path of being in the medical field, and yeah, so that's another part of the story. But I really wouldn't do anything differently. The only thing I would shift. So then I guess I would do something differently. I would like to work more with groups versus as many one-on-ones.
Okay.
So I would love to have just like a group impact. And yeah, that's the only thing I would change. But I could win the lottery tomorrow and still do what I do.
I love it.
I wouldn't change it.
I love it. If you could live anywhere in the world,
Oh.
other than the places you've lived, where would that be?
So originally I would have said San Diego before California went a little crazy. But actually now I am starting to explore other countries. So I am going to be moving to a couple of other countries very soon. So I'll be able to better answer that question. But Costa Rica is
Yeah.
definitely one of them. Yes, I've always wanted to live there.
I have some friends when COVID hit, prior to COVID hitting, they said, we're going to live international because everything they do is virtual, can be done from wherever, right? And so I think they're in Morocco now.
Oh my
They
gosh,
are,
that's on
they've
my
been,
list too.
oh my good, they have been everywhere.
Yes, yes.
South America. I mean,
That,
they are.
that was my 2020 dream. And then 2020 was like, no, you're going to sit for a second.
Right,
So
right.
now I'm living it out in 2021 and this year, for sure, this year.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's great. A lot of people are exploring that option. Let me just say.
Yes, and we should, I believe. Yeah.
So my last question is, do you like to cook? But we know the answer to that.
I
I know that you
love
have to
to
cook,
cook.
but do you love to cook?
No, I love it. I love it. And it's funny because like if I'm cooking for friends or like my partner now, like initially he was just like, you don't have to make all of these elaborate meals for me. And I'm like,
Right.
you think this is for you? Like, no, I love food and I love taking things that are super simple, single ingredient foods, and just really making some amazing meals with them. Like, I don't really care to dine out that much. Or if I do, then it's definitely something that I can't cook at home. But I love different cuisines. I love trying different things. We very rarely eat the same things. And of course, he loves the fact that I cook.
I love
And
it.
yeah, so it's such a big part of my life. I love cooking.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
I do a lot of cooking and baking.
That's the one thing I don't know how to do, which is a good thing that I don't know how to do.
It is a good thing.
I have always stayed because people are like, well, you could cook, you could bake. I'm like, no. I don't
In
need
this
to know
field,
how to bake.
in this career, you're
Yes.
it's perfect.
Let's stay ignorant.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So tell us a little bit more about Tasha Bailey, the lady.
Oh, wow. She is multifaceted. So I like to say that I am an extroverted introvert. So I can be very bubbly. I am very personable. I'm very corny. I like to say that I'm witty, but some of them fall low and they're more corny than anything else. But I love making people laugh. I love just like having fun, being positive, and just really trying to brighten someone's day. But then, like, after things are over, like, I just like to just be quiet. Exactly. So
We
it's a,
must be sisters.
and people don't believe it. They're like, but you're so bubbly. And I'm like, no, I am. But then I need to like recharge that battery. So I can be very introspective. I love meditation and things like that, and just really being still. Um, I am actually very active now, but I did not necessarily grow up that way.
Mhm.
So the cooking is definitely, I like learning new things. I actually do geek out on like research papers and journals and studies when it comes to health and how to just be like our healthier, best self and mindset and stuff like that. So those are some of the things that interest me. And then like, so that's kind of like the nerdy side, the corny side, the funny side. And then like the active side. But it's funny because like when people first meet me, they're just kind of like, oh wow. Or when we get to know each other, there's like, you're so different than how I thought you would be. And one of the biggest, I love music, but I love different types of music. So I like classical music. I love rock music. I do listen to hip hop when I'm working out, but it's just like, they're just like, okay, there's a lot going on here. And I love
Right,
sports.
right,
Yeah.
right. That
College
is so
sports.
cool.
Yes.
That is so cool. That
There's
is
a lot
so
going
cool.
on.
We definitely have a lot in common.
I love that.
I love it. I love it. So what is health? What is a health and wellness transformational coach? Tell us, you know, Tasha Bailey. Yeah, tell us.
it's it is also quite multifaceted because it doesn't look a certain way for everyone. So and it's been a journey for me as well because I've been doing this a really, really long time. I've done nothing else. I've dedicated my life to this industry since 2004. This is all I've done. And the way that I started off and the way that I am now and my approach to coaching people, completely different. Because we get into this as a trainer and it's just exercise. But what I learned very early on is that no, there's a lot more than exercise. Like I remember my first client who I could just tell like something was off because I can be very intuitive with that as well. And I was like, "Are you okay?" And she started crying. And we spent the entire session, because I was actually working in a gym at the time, she was just telling me craziness going on in her personal life. And I was like, oh. And she was just like, I just feel so much better being able to kind of get that off my chest. And she's like, thank you so much for helping me. And I'm like, I did nothing. but
But a
it kind
listening
of showed
ear.
me exactly. And it showed me how much it's more than just about the workout. And then as I kind of progressed through and just learning through some of the challenges that my clients faced of why they weren't doing the workout or why they weren't getting the results. Food comes into it, your relationship with food comes into it, your mindset gets into it, changing the past paradigms, if you will, just your beliefs when it comes to certain things, rewriting that story. And then it even goes into just like what's going on with hormones and what's going on with plastics, what are you putting on your body and in your body in other ways when it comes to soy and some of the GMOs. And so it really travels deep. And whether it's I do say that I specialize mainly in weight loss, but for people that want to increase their strength or just their overall health, all of these things come together. So now what I tell people is that, any sort of excess weight, or if you are not where your health should be, it's just your body letting you know that it's out of balance in a couple of different areas. So once we can kind of get things back in order, then it's going to naturally happen. So what I love is that my clients will always say that, wow, this was a lot easier than I thought. But then the other thing I warned them of, I'm like, it's not possible for you to be the person I speak to on our consultation call, like day one, and the person that has achieved their goal, they're not the same. You wouldn't even recognize each other because you can't come out of this being the same person. And so that's where it becomes like a life transformation, because their other relationships change as well, the way they interact with their children or their significant other. So it ends up being just like this holistic is really played out, but it really does end up being this holistic way of just transforming their life to become healthier, happier, and hotter.
and inside and out.
Inside and out, absolutely.
And so that's what I'm looking forward to, is the total transformation.
Yeah.
Which you said, like you said, is holistic. It's, you can't be the same person. I had some friends tell me, Shenita, and they said it in a joking way, but I think they really feel that way. We can't stand you now. We know that we're not going to be able to stand you if you lose 60 pounds.
Yeah,
So,
and it's a whole different mindset that goes with that too, because there's some folks that lose the weight without the transformation. You know what I mean? And I know that kind of goes against what I just said about you can't be the same person, but you could utilize one tool. You can lose weight and it's not in a healthful way. And you can lose weight and definitely find it again. So for it to be that sustainable, it is very much where your mindset changes too. And hey, it might be exactly what they say. They're just like, wait a minute, this is a different woman.
Yes, a different woman. Who is that woman?
Yes.
She's hot. No, she's hotter.
Hotter.
She was hot, but she's hotter.
Exactly.
Yes. Exactly. So, what does, we've kind of talked a little bit. I know I mentioned it earlier, and I'm not sure if they heard me. A wellness, health, transformational coach do. Can you go into that a little bit more specific?
Absolutely. So when I'm working with someone, funny enough, exercise is like a little bit at the end, interestingly enough, especially if they're a person that has a good amount of weight to lose. Most of my clients are interested in losing at least 30 plus pounds. And they are folks that have just about, in their mind, they really have tried everything. And this is kind of, it's a place of pressure for me, but it's also a place of privilege where they're just like, look, you're my last resort here. I've had a couple of clients that are like, it's either you or bariatric surgery. So I've heard about you. I'm gonna try you before I go this route. So like I said, pressure, but privilege there as well. And so what I'm doing is really hitting their mindset first, seeing what some of their habits are naturally. And you can't attack everything all at once. So it really is this systematic, what is the most important thing right now approach. We're changing their kitchen. We're changing what their pantry looks like, what their fridge and freezer looks like. One of them, she's just like, so we haven't really talked about food yet that in depth, because we needed to change she wasn't sleeping enough. We needed to change her evening routine to make sure she got enough sleep, because sleep and stress are the two biggest things that can affect how and what you're going to eat. And, so going through that whole process with her, she had to take things off of her plate because she was just overwhelmed, which was also causing a problem with her, getting her meals together and exercising. She just felt a lot of overwhelm, and it was because she had too much stuff on her plate. So we had to go through this whole process of, it is okay to say no. And she's like, no, these people need me. I'm like, they don't. And as she started dropping things off and people are like, oh, okay, no big deal. She was like, oh my gosh, I've been so overwhelmed. I put all this pressure on me. So now she has free time, she has space, and things are working out a lot better. So it really is looking at all of the different areas of their life. We have sessions where they talk about the therapist part. Like, they're telling me things that their best friends don't know, that their significant other or spouses don't know. And I don't know these people, so they could just vent. And it's a place where, and I let them know, you can be yourself. Absolutely. I'm not going to judge you from this, because I really don't, but you can be yourself. If you are, it's funny because sometimes I'll get like someone that's very collected, prim and proper. And then when we're together, they're a little bit more boisterous. They're cursing, and I'm like,
Right.
oh, I didn't even know you were that person. But it's just a place for them to feel free
And be
and
themselves.
be
Right.
themselves. And then
Hmm.
what I like to encourage them is start to really even bring parts of yourself out there into the world, because it's way too hard to try and be somebody else. I have tried that in different ways,
It does
and
not work.
it doesn't work. It
Mm-mm.
doesn't. And trying to satisfy other people and what other folks think you should do. And, even walking them through how their life is going to change, unfortunately, there have been breakups after their journey through weight loss and the whole transformation. They
Nope.
have lost friends because you realize not everybody's on your team.
Nope.
And they loved you being, in some cases, the fat
Overweight.
friend.
And can I share this? I was listening to Frank
Absolutely.
Ski the other morning, and this lady came on. She weighed 350 pounds, and she lost, I think, about 100 pounds, right, during COVID.
Yeah.
Well, and she got married. The gentleman who I guess was attracted to her found her attractive, being big, beautiful, BBW, right?
Yeah.
And she wants to lose more weight, but he does not want her to lose any more weight. And so she's struggling because they got married.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And and I'm thinking to myself, if being thinner is healthier, not just appearance wise, but healthier, why wouldn't he? But I think she said
It's
he liked her big.
Yeah, and there's definitely some men that genuinely just are attracted to, larger women. And in some case it could be a manipulation tactic. And there's a lot of different things. I've had clients where their significant other, as they were getting closer, started doing some sabotage, bringing home their favorite desserts and,
Mhm,
all sorts of interesting things.
mhm.
And they were on board, because I always want the buy-in of, you know,
The
is
partner.
the person that's living in your
Mhm,
home, are they supportive of this?
mhm.
And I sometimes will speak to them. And I remember in this particular case, he was so excited, and she was losing weight. He was so excited. He was a bigger guy. And then when
Mm,
she started getting to a certain point, he started sabotaging a little bit, and they did end up breaking up. But it was just really interesting because that was my first experience of that. And I was like, but he's all about this up until a certain point. Yeah,
mhm,
because he
mhm.
wasn't a part of that journey. He was not interested in, any sort of weight loss journey. And so it really was just her. And it got
Mm.
to a certain point, her confidence started to increase and all of that. And he was just not comfortable. He was
Yeah,
not comfortable
that's
anymore.
so unfortunate, but I can
Yeah.
see that happening over and over again. So that's why I share my journey publicly. So if anybody thinks that they're going to come
Yes.
and take me
Yes.
backwards, they got another thing coming. I'm just saying.
And that's a really smart thing, because before I've always had as a requirement, and some of my friends or even some guys will get on to me about this, where I'm just like, no, you have to be a healthy person. Like, you have to be fit and healthy. And they're just like, well, what if I'm on the journey? Well, first of all, I never say what I do,
Right.
ever, for a long
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
But I'm just like, well, when you get there, you can holler at your girl. And they're like, wait, so you won't date me when I'm like this? And it's like, no, because one, people will sometimes pull you down with them.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Yeah.
have to go through that.
That's it.
And then otherwise, because I am a coach, even though you don't know that yet, it's going to be like another job for me to try and pull you up. And that's not who you are.
That's it.
So if it's not who you are,
It's not a
it,
good
it just
fit.
won't work.
It's not a good
It's
fit.
just not a good fit.
Mhm. I'm actually in a singles group on Facebook, and the women get so upset when men say they're looking for women who are fit. And I don't understand that, or
Mm-mm.
vice versa.
Yeah,
Because if that is the person's preference, allow that to be their preference.
because I've tried to do that other way before, and then it's like, oh well, why are you going to the gym? Like, we could be hanging out and watching TV, or I like to do a lot of outdoorsy stuff, so I like to hike and kayak, and they didn't want to go with me. Or it's like, oh, why are you cooking? Let's go out and eat. Like, I don't want to, yeah, let's go out. Why are we eating so many vegetables? And it just becomes a whole problem, and it's just not worth it.
It's
It's
not
not
worth
worth the struggle.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
It's something about being aligned with people of like minds. It's something about
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is so good. So
So I highly recommend that.
yes. So you, as the health, wellness, transformational coach, just really kind of help them figure out what's best for them as an individual.
Absolutely. Because everybody's journey is not the same, and not everybody's starting from the same point, and not everybody wants it to be a certain way. For instance, I had a consultation call today, and this gentleman was very clear. He's like, look, I don't like to cook. My wife doesn't like to cook. And I was like, okay. I was like, so are we dining out exclusively, or could I get you in the kitchen maybe twice a week? And he's like, oh yeah, I'll do once or twice. He's like, but I don't want to be in there longer than an hour. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, one thing that I have developed during these 17 years of doing this, I can make anything work according to anyone's lifestyle. Because I told him, I was like, I have another client just like you. And she said, you got 2 days a week out of me, and I need to be out of the kitchen in 30 minutes. And I'm like, oh, ooh. And she's like, I want to use either my air fryer, or my slow cooker, or the oven. I'm like, okay. So that's all of our meal planning revolves around that. I'm not judging that, because I don't want to hear what makes me happy or what you think I would want to hear. I want to hear the truth. What is it that you can do 10, 20 years from now? I'm not interested in what you can do for 30 days or even 90 days.
Right.
If you can't see yourself, because when people will say to me, well, I need to stop eating sugar. Okay, cool. So are you telling me like you don't want a piece of cake on your birthday for the next 5 years? And they're like, oh, wait a minute. I'm like, then we don't need to
realistic.
cut sugar. Yeah. I'm
Right.
like, we need to manage your relationship with sugar, but we don't need to cut it out. And there are people that I meet that are just like, no, I really do want to get rid of it. Okay, cool. But it's really about, what do they want?
Right.
What are they willing to do consistently
For themselves.
And then we go for themselves. And then we go from there. I'm not, so it's not about what I want or what I think should happen. And I think that's where a lot of coaches fall into that trap. And it took me a while to unlearn that, because I'm like, no, you should. I thought everybody wanted to be a size 6. Everybody doesn't want to be a size 6, because that's kind of what they train us, to believe. And that's not true.
That's ideal, right?
Exactly. I remember the first client, I think she got down to a size 20, and I kept pushing her, and she's like, no, understand, I am happy. I can do everything I want to do. I feel like I look amazing in my dress. She was getting married too. She's like, this is where I want to be. And it opened up my eyes, because this was very early on. And I was like, oh, like, you really are good here. And she's like, yes. She's like, I haven't been this size since like high school. She's like, no, I love my body right now. And I was like, oh. So that was kind of like a light bulb moment of, no, this is not about me. It's not about me at all. It's about, what do you want? And what are you willing to do to make that happen consistently? And everything else we can work through.
And so when someone is watching this broadcast tonight and they're like, oh, wow, I need this person, help them understand a little deeper why they need someone like you. I heard you say that you will go into the home and redesign the kitchen, clean out the freezer, the pantry, reorganize their schedule so that they'll have more sleep. So go into helping someone understand why they would need someone like you.
I think it's because, like, I let people know, like, once we get started together, like, you're family, like, we're in this together. It doesn't even matter if we stopped working together. Once we're finished working together, we're still family. Like, I still have clients from 10 years ago that will still send me a random text, and they're just like, hey, somebody's trying to sell me this thing with this shake. Can I run this? Could you take a look at it and tell me what you think? Absolutely. So it's like, it's not just it's a weird balance between like we really become family. Like I know a lot about them. I share things about me so that, it's like a shared vulnerability to a
Yes.
certain extent. So we really do trust each other. And that, I think, is so different. And once I started kind of even opening up myself, telling people my struggles, through things, because it's not perfect for me either, and sharing that, they kind of, oh wow, okay. Or just it becomes like this place of this really cool place of trust. And I think the like family is the best thing I can say about it. They know that I have their best interests at
Mhm.
heart. Sometimes we have tough conversations, but they know it's all from love, like family. They know, I mean, I have seen tears, and, we work through that. They know that I really do have their back. And it's not like, it's not a place of judgment. It is just like, no, I really have your back, and we are family. Like, we're
Yeah.
gonna do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, even after it's over, you know, if they like budget, whatever reason it's over, they know that we are still together. We're still family.
Mhm.
So I think that is something that makes it a little bit different. And they know that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to really, I don't, if something goes wrong, like if we had a goal and the goal doesn't get met, it's not this whole thing where it's like, why didn't you do this? You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
really just like, okay, like let's discuss it, like what happened. But I put it more so, I'm like, okay, maybe I didn't explain it well enough, because I do believe as a coach, two things. One, you don't take someone on a not really like a pre-planned journey. So what I mean by that is that I'm not putting everyone down the same path. So I ask more questions than anything else. Sometimes people think that coaching is where you're solving my problem. I am, but you're leading the whole thing, which is
Mhm.
also different.
Mhm.
So I don't say, here's how you need to do your evening. It's just like, it's a lot of questions. Like, okay, well, what time do we need to go to bed? And what is it that we can do here? So it's more questions. They're answering their own questions,
Mhm.
because as adults, nobody likes to be told what to do. You
Right.
don't want to be told what to do. But
Right.
if it is your idea, you are more likely to stick with it. So
Mhm.
everything that we come up with is their idea. I'm here to support it, but it's their idea. So it's their journey. And then the other thing with coaching is just that it's yeah, it definitely isn't a one size fits all. So
Awesome. We had one
yeah.
of our viewers say it's good to be relatable.
And that was something that I resisted for a while. Like I
Mhm.
said, it's been a journey for me as a coach as well. I didn't used to share struggles that I would have, because I was legit addicted to sweets. And I never really shared that for a while. And then, my struggle with that. And I have actually, for me, it was more of a decision to just not participate anymore. So kind of like I went through like a sugar anonymous of my own, and I
Mhm.
just don't eat certain things anymore because I know what it will trigger. But to be able to talk to them by that, you will never catch me in a lie. That's the
Mhm.
other thing. So my clients know that I love dining out or like unhealthy type food as much as I like healthy food. So they
Mhm.
would never be like, even when I did eat sweets, they wouldn't be like, oh my God, you're in a line at Dairy Queen. What are you doing here? I'm like, you know what? I'm here. Like, this isn't a shop
Right.
for you.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I'm very open of, yes, I eat sweets.
Mhm.
Yes, I love wings.
Mhm.
Fries are my favorite.
Mhm.
So, but there's a time and a place and a way. There's some
To
strategy
do
of
it.
how we do this so that
Exactly.
you're still healthy and you're still reaching your goals.
Right.
So they know that nothing is off limits. That is something that's also very different. I don't take anything away from my clients.
Yes.
So if they even McDonald's, there's
Mhm.
nothing off
Mhm.
limits. It's just, why are you doing it? How are we doing it? How that can get fit in, and then the transformation happens from there.
Right.
So then when they go to McDonald's, it's not for the same reason that they used to go to McDonald's
Mhm.
before. Yeah.
Mhm. That's great. I did share with you, I went to Breakfast Boys today and
Mhm.
I ordered the catfish and shrimp and grits. And I ate a small portion, very small.
Yeah.
And and I was satisfied. And so I try not to, although I do a lot of meal replacements on the program that I am on with Kaiser, but I still get in some of those things that I enjoy.
Absolutely.
And so I just have a different mindset where I will get a kids meal.
Yes, that is one of my favorite tactics because,
Yes.
like, we're in Atlanta. Like
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A, I call it God's chicken.
I
Like
know.
it's a food group. You
Yes.
have to have Chick-fil-A
Yes.
if you eat chicken. But
Mhm.
and so people are like, you eat at Chick-fil-A? Yes. Now most of the time I do get the kids meal,
Yep.
and it's perfectly portioned. It hits the spot,
Yep.
and then I'm good for
Yep.
a while. But the perfect thing about what you said is that when everything is allowed, it makes it easier to stick with,
Mhm.
because you can try and restrain yourself, but you will end up in the closet with whatever you like. A gallon of ice cream, you're just in there, just like, I'm gonna
Yes,
waste
yes,
this
because
week.
you feel like
Yeah,
you're
we don't have to
denying
do anything
yourself,
like
like,
that.
"Oh, no,"
Exactly.
then you just go
Nobody has time for
overboard.
that.
Mm-mm, mm-mm,
Exactly.
you're not
We
gonna
don't we
do
don't
that.
have time for that.
Yeah.
So it's when I notice that with certain clients of mine who love like wine. They're just and it's funny how we come in and they're just like, you can't take away my wine. I'm like, hi, my name is Tasha. Like, we haven't even gotten here yet. But then I don't. And I let them know you can have wine every day. I've had people drink wine every day. There's certain parameters to it. But
Mhm.
then the funny part is always, again, because we're adults, and when we have some of these food issues, we are children. And so a lot of what I teach people to do is parenting themselves essentially.
Right.
But I'm like, fine, have your wine every day. It just needs to be, it has to be portioned, blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you know, I'm like, so have you, what's going on with the wine? I don't really like it like that. Really? Because
Quickly.
because it's
Mhm.
available. So when
Mhm.
nothing is off limits and they're like, so I can have this whenever I want. And I'm like, yeah, as long as we're not eating based on emotion. That's one of the big rules. Do not eat based on emotion. And we portion it out. Absolutely. Like, go
Yes.
for it. And then it makes it easier. It
Yeah.
makes it easier for them to stick with.
Because I've been on this program with Kaiser for 18 weeks and have lost like 15 pounds. I know I could have
Yes.
lost more. However, I enjoyed the holidays and I was not going to not enjoy. I didn't
Absolutely.
overindulge, but I wasn't going to say no. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
I get it.
so now I can, regroup and go back in with a little more intensity.
Yeah,
Intent.
the bounce back is what matters,
I
it's
didn't overdo it.
which is
And
also
because I
good.
didn't gain any weight.
Oh, cheers to that.
That's
Yes.
what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. So, yes. So, with that being, so what can you recommend to someone that can afford a health or wellness or transformational coach? Is there any suggestions that you can share with them or just tips, couple of tips?
Absolutely.
I know we talked about a few right then.
Yes,
Order
yes.
order kids meal
Order
versus
the
a
kids'
whole
meal. Yes.
cook
One of
more.
the one of the major things that because even on my questionnaire, like I'll have clients kind of categorize themselves, and if they say horrible hot mess, that is one of the selections. Then I already know how we're going to start. We're going to start slow. They want to move full speed ahead, but it's like, no, let's get some habits down. One of the best things that you can do is I call them portion plates. They're like the old school 3 sectional, it's like half plate, top quarter, top quarter. I have had folks just start off with that, right? And it's either eat off of a smaller plate, but sometimes, visually the
Mhm,
portion plate can be a little bit better. And in the large portion, your protein doesn't go there, your vegetables go there.
mhm,
I
mhm,
don't even care initially what vegetables they want there. Just put vegetables in that, which will be like a half plate.
mhm,
Put your protein in that other part,
mhm,
and then put your carb, if you're going to have one, in that other part.
mhm,
That alone has had people drop anywhere between 6 to 10 pounds in a month,
mhm,
because they're adding in vegetables, which is typically, for most people, not a part of what they're doing. And then they're portioning the other thing. Yes, vegetables in that larger section. Folks are like, you mean all this right here? Like that's all
Mhm,
vegetables? All
mhm,
vegetables.
mhm, mhm,
Vegetables, yes.
mhm.
The other thing I would say is balance out your meals. And that kind of does it for you, that portion plate, because you're getting a protein, a carb, and a veggie. And then your fat is typically what you're going to be cooking some things in for the most part, or
Mhm,
if you like avocado or olives
mhm,
or nuts and
mhm.
things like that. Speaking of nuts, portion.
Right.
You
Not
like
the whole
cashews
can.
and almonds, you have no idea how that will creep up on you like a thief in the streets.
Right.
Man, because I have clients who are like, oh, I just, I got a little hungry, so I had a couple handfuls of cashews. And I'm like, oh,
We need to
because you've
count those.
literally had, yes,
Yeah.
I'm like, you have had 700 calories. And they're like, I couldn't have. Like, I'm still hungry. Yeah, because there it's easy. We typically don't chew very well, which is another tip. Chew your food, slow down. Slow down. One thing I also ask folks to do, especially if they're in that hot mess category, we don't even worry about changing the food. It's just changing certain habits. So getting that portion plate, having them slow down, time themselves initially. How long does it take you to eat? They're usually like, oh my God, I had no idea. And then it's like, okay, add on a minute. They're like, well, what am I supposed to do? Chew your food? Like, chew it? And what you notice is if you slow down eating and you chew your food, you eat a lot less of it naturally because more nutrient absorption is happening. So that portion plate, slow down, water, get your water in, y'all.
Yes. Yes. That
Okay.
is the
It
key.
makes a big difference. It's
Mm.
like a chemistry equation. If you don't have water to fuel things, like your fat loss isn't going to happen that way.
Mhm,
It slows it down a lot.
mhm,
So if you need to, like I was working, one of my ladies that I work with, she has a hard time getting in the water. So I got her to get some True Lemon, True Lime brand flavor packets. It's sweetened with stevia. And she put those in there. Boy, her water went up like exponentially because it was the flavor of the water. Whatever
mhm,
you need to do in the beginning,
mhm,
and then we can wean her off of it.
mhm,
But
mhm,
it's getting the water in. It's like 10 calories, 1 gram of sugar. And that's helped her, and use a straw. That's a big deal too. That's a little
mhm,
tip. And she's gotten in a lot more water. When it comes to exercise, quite frankly, nutrition is a bigger deal than exercise. It just
mhm.
is.
Yep.
So even if you just walk, I have a client that has lost so much weight and all she did was walk. Like she walks for at least 30 minutes every day. If you
Mhm,
can't do every day, I like the habit of every day for folks,
mhm,
but if you
mhm,
can't do every day, then like it does need to be about 45 minutes,
mhm.
most days of the week. But 30 minutes every day and getting your food in line,
It's
that's a
gonna
big deal.
happen.
And then
And the
sleep
water and the
and the
sleep. Yes.
water.
But you know what? The sleep is so imperative. I remember when I first started dating my husband and he was a night owl and I was already in bed at 8 and 9 o'clock and
Mhm.
we started hanging out and the weight started creeping up. It is so important to sleep. And
Absolutely.
so, yeah. And so when traumatic things happen in our lives, it can disrupt that part of our life. And so we have to figure
Yeah.
that out, how to, like you said, how to bring that back into order.
And most of the time, we're doing this.
Shut it off.
you know,
Shut
there
it off.
there there are apps and programs that you can download where it'll completely shut down your phone or not allow you to use certain apps.
Yeah, I have that
And
on mine.
people hate that because I'm
Mhm,
telling this to like a very grown person, and there's
mhm,
like, no, I don't need that. You need it. And
mhm,
at least initially, just so
mhm.
that you have to change a behavior or charge your phone in the bathroom, something where it's away from you. But it's usually the TV or the phone that keeps us up. It's not anything that's worthwhile. We just have to
Yes.
break that habit. But when you sleep less than 6 hours, there are scientific studies that will tell you will consume more calories and you crave more carbs and sugars because your body translates that as stress. And it's kind of like your like there's an upgrade because all of the results come from when we're resting. not when we're actually exercising. So imagine like a reboot happening and all the goodness that you just did from the day is uploading, and then you just pull the plug before
Wipe
it's
it out.
finished. Wipe it out. That's what not
That's
getting
true.
enough sleep. And this is coming from a person that used to survive off of 4.5, 5. I really don't know how that happened. I put that on, okay, you were in your 20s and 30s and like that, you could get away with that. Now I am like, I need my 8 hours.
Right.
Yes. And
Literally.
I've had to, yeah. And I'm really grateful for a partner that also values 8 hours.
Yes. Yes. So
He's
when you
still a
say
night owl,
it's time to go
but
to bed, babe, okay.
he is actually really good about it. And he's like, it's time to go to bed. And we have a whole evening routine with tea, chamomile tea, and stuff like that to like wind down. And yeah, that
I
8
bet
hours is
I
life.
bet that right there in itself, just having a partner that can relate to you is so refreshing. Like, oh, I'm in heaven.
Yes, absolutely.
Because when you connect with the wrong partner and you're not in sync, like you said earlier, oh, it's a mess. So
in all ways.
Oh my goodness.
In all areas of your life.
Yes, indeed. Can you, I know we could talk forever, but can you share a really quick success story with one of your clients before we do a little show and tell? Because I know we got a few things we want to show and tell.
Yes. So one of my favorite clients, I'll name her. She wouldn't mind. Her name is Amber. And Amber and I started working together some years prior. She came to me just for fitness. Again, I don't judge people's thing. I'm like, okay, we'll do what you want. And she was about, I think at that time she was 3 something. She was 3 something. And she's like, I want to strength train. I was working with this trainer before. I want to strength train because she's like, I want to have definition in my arms. And I'm like, okay. And then this is where I said the tough love. I'm like, you will not have definition in your arms because you will get stronger, but body fat. Like you're not going to see cuts like you want to see cuts. And she was like, oh, but she did not want to have a nutrition conversation. Okay. So we worked out, she got stronger and all of that. And she had a lot of hangups with food. She's always been heavier. She actually got bariatric surgery at 16 as a part of some crazy program Georgia had, but she's not buying her food. Her whole family was overweight or obese. So she lost 100 pounds, gained that back, and then some. And it was wild. And so she got back with me at the beginning of, we're looking here at April. We got together and she started off at 324. And we got back together and she's like, okay, I'm finally ready to have a food conversation. And I'm like, okay. And it scared her because of her prior relationship with food. And she will tell people all the time, I eat good. And she used to say she couldn't cook. She cooks all the time now, makes things from scratch. And she will tell anybody my food is better than any restaurant's food. And so she started at 324 and we spoke today. She's at 255.
Wow, that is awesome. Last April?
Yeah, we started in April.
That's awesome.
Yep. And it's just changing things. I mean, she eats wings. We have nachos as a part of her because she can't eat. She's like, I'm not going to eat like blah food.
Right.
And she really loves some unhealthy type of things. So we just healthify it.
Right.
And she cooks it. And so wings, things like that. And yeah, she's amazing. And she walks mainly for her workouts. She's doing it. Absolutely.
I love it. So I know we have some show and tell stuff. I was telling you that I purchased my first jar of sea moss.
I'm making a batch later. Yes.
And so I'm excited to start that tomorrow. So tell us about some suggestions or some things that you'd like to share.
Okay. I'm a minimalist in a lot of areas of my life, and including when it comes to supplements. Supplements I will always tell people, do not even purchase supplements until your eating is good. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it needs to be good because it's just going to supplement whatever you're doing. So if your eating right now is garbage, don't spend the money on expensive, urine and poo. Like put that into, getting things together so that you're eating well, and then you can supplement. Some of my favorites, especially in these, in these times, is there are things to boost your immune system. And that's something I got super serious about, of course, like most people in 2020. So one of my new favorites is this one called Immune C. And what I love about this, because I did a lot of research, I told you I geek out about that. And I got this off of Amazon. And it actually, when studies were talking about the amounts of certain vitamins that they were using to help cure people, it is the same amounts of stuff that's in this that's in this supplement. So this is one of my favorite immune boosters that has kept me
in the game.
Good. Yes. And then on that same thing, a mushroom complex. Mushrooms are starting to get more notoriety public wise of just how different mushrooms can help with different things. So it goes beyond just the white button, baby Bella, but like shiitake mushrooms, not ashwagandha, changa, turkey tail. There's mushrooms that can help you with cancer prevention, boost your immunity, help you sleep, help wake you up, and help with your focus. So there's a lot that is really good with this. And this one is really helping with supporting your immune system, focus, clarity. Again, Amazonia for that. I love it. I've been taking that one for a while. Because one of my friends was like, what do you take? You always have such high energy. I'm like, this is it. This is my little regimen. I love whole food multivitamins. Vitamin Code or Garden of Life is one of my favorites there. And then lastly, super greens. So this does not replace vegetables, but there are different types of vegetables. Things like crack cholera helps with anti-aging, helps with your immune system and things, digestion and things of that nature, and energy. And I just do a scoop of this in the morning with water. And, nobody really guesses what age I am. So I guess I always say it's working.
It's like, working.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. I love it.
And everything else perspective. I'm like, well,
I love it. So I'm just so tickled because, you're so passionate about what you do. And when I heard one of your lives, that's what got my attention. You sharing great tips. And so your mannerism and your humor, I really love it. So as we prepare to close, I'd like for you to share your information, or I know I'm going to drop a couple of links when I share the video, the live, but share whatever you like as we prepare to close.
So there's a lot of ways that we can get connected just to, learn more about each other, that type of thing. I am on Facebook, Mix Kitchen Fitness. It's at Mix Kitchen Fitness, MIX Kitchen Fitness. So that is down there. If you want to learn more about some of the things I do, the website is always changing, but it's mixkitchenfitness.com just to learn more about that. IG, I'm not good with that. I think I'm in the wrong generation for IG. I'm like, I experience things. I don't take pictures of things, but I'm working on it, y'all. So IG is a whole thing, but it's Tasha with an O _ Mix Kitchen Fitness. And then for the links that will be shared, I have a meal prep made easy shortcut guide with recipes, y'all, like one pot and sheet pan recipes, and just giving you ways of how you can shorten some of your meal prep time, because that's a huge deal. That's one of the keys to success. And then for women, this is a women's only thing for right now. I have a free Facebook group on Facebook. Yeah, that's what I said, a free Facebook group. And it's called Healthy, Happy, and Hot Weight Loss Solutions for the Busy Woman. And in there, it's a community. It's something that I'm redoing. And so there's tips of the week. We do weekly challenges. There's recipes. You'll learn about different foods. I do live Q&As and just other little workshops in there as well. So even if there's something where you like, I ain't got the funds to do this right now, then you at least get some support, some help, some coaching, and some tips in that group.
And that group is called, again, Healthy, Happy, and Hot.
Healthy, Happy, and Hot. Yes, the weight loss solutions for the busy woman.
Ooh, I love it. I need to join that group.
Yes, come on in.
I'm going to join that group. I'm going to join that group. Yes, ma'am. Well, I am so excited to have you tonight.
Thank you.
share
It's so much fun.
your business and great tips. Um, and I love healthy, happy, and hot.
That's my motto. Let's get healthy. And we put ERs on there. Okay. We're gonna get healthier,
Healthier,
happier,
happier, and
and hotter.
hotter. I
Okay.
love it.
So we're on the ERs.
I can dig it.
But then the whole motto is that we are aiming to be healthy, happy, and hot. That is a
Yes,
great way of going about
that,
it. We're on
that
the
is
ERs.
that is the goal. That is the
Yes.
goal. I love it. So I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to share this moment with me and those who are watching. I'm sure there are lots of comments that we can't see at the moment. And I will drop in the links when I share the broadcast so that people can take advantage of what you just shared.
Okay.
That you're offering. So thank you again, Tasha.
You are so incredibly welcome.
And this
Thank
is
you
just
so
the
much. This is
beginning.
so much fun.
Yes, this is
Yes.
just the beginning. So
Thank
I
you.
look forward to us doing something more together, just on a personal level.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely. Because we got
yes,
the Florida connection. We got to
yes,
chat more about
yes, yes,
Gainesville. How many people know where
yes.
Gainesville is?
The Sunshine State.
Yes.
So thank you, and you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. You too.
Yes. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. That was a wonderful, wonderful segment with transformational coach Tasha Bailey. So please reach out to her, contact her for more information about her services. And you guys stay healthy, make health a priority. Take care. Until next week.